Tigers finish off the sweep of Purde Fort Wayne. We're recapping it. Locked on LSU. Let's go.
You are Locked On LSU, your daily podcast on the LSU Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Okay, let's get it. It is Locked On LSU, your team every day. I'm your host, Matt Moscona. Thanks so much for making us your first listen. We're free, available wherever you get podcasts, of course, on YouTube as well. So please subscribe. And as always, one of the fastest ways to help us grow is by leaving your comments below. LSU beats Purde Fort Wayne on Sunday 8-1 to polish off the 3-game sweep of the Dons. We saw the debut of Chase Shores, some more notable lineup changes that I want to get to, and one LSU Tiger who refuses to be counted out and overlooked. We'll get into all that here over the course of this episode. We are trying something here new as we're going live immediate post-game. I asked, you responded. A lot of you wanted to see a live post-game react, so we're going to do that. If you're joining us live, thank you so much. If you're on demand on YouTube or on podcast, thank you as well. Please subscribe. We appreciate that. But if you are with us live, thank you. Leave your comments. What I'm going to do is, just so we understand how I'm going to format this, let me run through my game takeaways, and then in our second segment, I'll get to your comments. So feel free to drop your comments or your questions, and we'll get to those as we roll through here in the show today. So Tigers win it 8-1, and this was a game defined by more dominant pitching for LSU and certainly missed opportunities as well, as was part of the story throughout the weekend. And if you're with us live, my son Drew is here with me. I'm going solo daddy duty, so we might be interrupted. I apologize. We're just going to roll through it. But like we talked about, there were missed opportunities throughout the weekend for LSU. And that was certainly the case in this game. Now, Chase Shores making his debut after being on the shelf for 2 years was the storyline, so I'll talk about that in a second. But the big picture of the game went like this. Purde Fort Wayne actually struck first in the first inning, and it was unfortunate because Chase Shores looked really good out the chute. He got a 2-strike count and then ultimately ended up allowing a weak dribbling single after a ground out. So he gets a weak ground out, then a weak single up the middle, and then a weak single to the right side. So nobody's hit him hard, but you got 2 on. They line out the second, and then LSU had a little bit of a defensive lapse as they caught a runner at first in a pickle. Stephen Milam, instead of getting the out at first, tried to go home, and ultimately that run scored, and the runner was safe at first. Now, Shores would get out of it with a strikeout, but a run came home. After that, Shores was awesome. Shores in the next 4 innings, he went 5 innings pitched. In the next 4 innings, Shores allowed a total of 1 base runner. It was in the 4th inning, and he promptly got a double play after that to erase the base runner. So for the next 4 innings, Chase Shores faced the minimum. So his final line was awesome. 5 innings pitched, 1 run on 3 hits. Again, 2 weak singles in the first, and then the other single in the 4th, which ended up being erased on the double play. 7 strikeouts, no walks. That probably, for me, is the most significant stat line when you look at LSU's 3 starting pitchers. Cade Anderson did not walk a batter. Anthony Ianson walked 1. Chase Shores walked none. Each starter went 5 innings, 15 innings from your starters on the weekend, 1 walk. That was massive. You have the stuff, throw it over the plate, make hitters put good swings on good pitches to try to beat you. But I thought Chase Shores was awesome. He topped out at 99. His first pitch of the day was 98. This is a guy who's 6'8", 250 pounds. We saw him as a freshman throw 18 innings on the national championship team before he got shut down due to the UCL, had Tommy John, missed all of last year, and now he's back. And I got news. If a dude that's 6'8", 250, and throws 100 is your number 3, you're cooking with grease. And this is a team that is going to be hell to be reckoned with. Now, it's also worth noting that this was Purde Fort Wayne. And Purde Fort Wayne is not Tennessee. They're not Texas A&M. They're not Arkansas. They're not Florida. They're not some of the great teams you're going to face in conference play. As a matter of fact, Purde Fort Wayne's a bad baseball team. That was a bad baseball team that was completely overmatched. So almost like when we look at like a football game, whenever you're playing a team that you're so much better than, how do you work on you in those situations? Well, you want to be accurate. You want to catch the football. You want to tackle soundly in space, the things you can control. And for LSU, that's throwing the ball over the plate. That's playing clean defense, which by and large LSU did. Only the one error on the weekend, which was a catcher's interference on Friday. So by and large, LSU did the things that you really wanted to see them do against an overmatched team. But Chase Shores, what a debut without missing a beat. You know, you would have expected maybe a little rust, having not pitched competitively in 2 years, maybe struggle with the command. None of that was the case. Chase Shores was really, really good on Sunday. A couple of other things. Hard to ignore Ashton Larson. Ashton Larson was freshman All-SEC last year. Every time he kept getting opportunities to pinch hit midweek, he just kept delivering. And by the end of the season, it was impossible to justify leaving him out of the lineup. And so he became a starter for you. And then coming into this season, when you go bring in Chris Stanfield and you bring in Derek Curiel, now you've got Jake Brown, Ashton Larson, Josh Pearson, 3 starters from last year, all vying effectively for one spot in right field. Well, Ashton Larson didn't start in right field. Jake Brown did on Sunday. So Brown started in right field on Friday. We saw Pearson start in right field Saturday, and then Brown was back in right on Sunday, but Larson DH'd. And man, Ashton Larson made one heck of a statement. In his DH role, Ashton Larson on this ball game was awesome. He was a triple shy of the cycle, and he was the one that actually broke the game open with a 3-run homer in the 5th. Larson went 3 for 4 with 5 RBI. The homer, he did strike out once, but man, he was he made a statement in this ball game to suggest, hey, don't forget about me. And remember how this game played out. Purde Fort Wayne got the run in the first. The Tigers left them loaded in the first. Unfortunately, that was maybe the one giant disappointment of this ball game, is that LSU twice had the bases loaded. It was Larson who struck out with the bases loaded in the first. After Stanfield singled, Curiel walked, and then Jones walked. Brown popped out, Dickinson lined out to short, and then Larson struck out swinging. So you left him loaded twice. Stanfield struck out with him loaded in the 5th, but you left him loaded twice. Outside of that, Larson was awesome in this ball game. And in that 5th inning, you're down 1-0. The 4th inning, you're down 1-0. You hadn't really broken through yet. Brown leadoff single, Dickinson walks, and then Larson homers to put you up 3-0. And then the big inning would continue after Milam would walk, Hernandez would single, Milam scored on a wild pitch, and then Curiel singled to second base, and then that got Hernandez home on a throwing error. So Larson came through for you in big spots and allowed you to break the game open, which was a little tenuous at the point when he did. So number 1, Chase Shore's amazing debut. Number 2, Ashton Larson. Hard to be discounted, man, when you have a day like that. Let's also talk about the lineup changes. So I was wrong. After we saw what Jay did in right field and catcher game 1, game 2, where each spot, right field and catcher, are the only spots on the field right now where you seemingly have a spot up for grabs. We know Jones is going to play first, Dickinson's going to play second, Milam's going to play short, Braswell's going to play third, Stanfield's in center, Curiel's in left. So you're trying to figure out catcher, right field. And you got 3 guys at each spot. Well, on Friday, Brown was in right, Hernandez caught. On Saturday, Pearson was in right, Aaron Beatty caught. It would stand to reason that on Sunday, you'd let Larson play right and you'd catch Blaze Priester. That's not what they did. They went back to the Friday lineup. Where we saw Brown in right, Hernandez behind the plate. And then the change was, instead of DHing Pearson, which you did on Friday, you DH'd Larson, and clearly it worked. Now, Purde Fort Wayne started a righty, so Larson being a left-handed bat, that makes sense as well, having him in there. But Hernandez and Brown who got the starts, both had very good days. Hernandez was 1 for 2. He walked twice, scored a run. Brown and Wright was 2 for 4, scored 2 runs. Brown is the best defensive right fielder. I don't even think that's a question. He played center for you a year ago. You have a center field and a high-rated prospect playing right field. It's a massive, massive benefit if you could lock him down in right field defensively, and if offensively he's coming along that way. But the challenge is going to be, if Brown locks down right field, what do you do with Larson and Pearson? And it may be the DH role. But then what happens if Hernandez maybe struggles behind the plate and Aaron Beatty proves to be a better option behind the dish? We'll see. Hernandez had a rough game defensively in the opener, was much better on Sunday. In the opener, he had a terrible throw down second on a stolen base attempt. He had the catcher's interference, struggled receiving the baseball as well. A couple balls that popped out of his mitt. Wasn't great for Hernandez on Friday. Sunday was much better for the transfer from Indiana State. And I'll tell you, my fourth takeaway was William Schmidt. So we got to see William Schmidt make his debut. Shores went the first 5 innings of the ball game. And then after that, we saw Fontenot pitch an inning, a clean inning, struck out 2, faced the minimum. But then the show started. William Schmidt came in the 7th, and he went 2 2/3. They went to Jay went to Jaden Newt to get the final out of the game. I think he just wanted to get Newt on the mound, but Schmidt was outstanding. William Schmidt went 2 2/3. He allowed 1 looping single into center, but in 2 2/3, he faced 9 hitters. He struck out 4 of them, did not walk anyone. He topped out at 96 miles an hour. He showed off the filthy breaking ball, which, if you're not familiar, Schmidt is a guy who the spin rate on his breaking ball would be top 10 in Major League Baseball today. He would have a top 10 curveball in Major League Baseball today. So it's not to say all of his pitches is big league stuff right now, but that curveball is a big league curveball. And when you're throwing that, and then your changeup is at 81, or your curve's at 81, your changeup's at 85, and your fastball is topping out at 96, it's unfair. You can understand why nobody hit him in high school, because college hitters aren't going to hit him. So an outstanding debut for William Schmidt. One of the things I think with a lot of these pitchers that we were wanting to see and curious to see is if the moment would overwhelm them. And, I think a part of this that that might, if I were to draw a comparison, think of Cam Johnson. Remember a year ago, Cameron Johnson, the lefty from IMG, he's a lefty throwing 98, which lefties throwing 98 don't ever show up on campus because they're so rare. He was the highest rated pitcher ever to show up on campus. And it was just obvious the moment of going from IMG and throwing in front of 50 people to throwing in front of 10,000 at the box was too much. And he just couldn't throw strikes. And so even though they kept giving him opportunities, he couldn't throw strikes consistently, so he couldn't get opportunities. He ends up sitting, he transfers, now he's at Oklahoma. So the most encouraging thing, if I were to give you one most encouraging thing from this weekend for LSU's pitchers, it's that they kept the walks down. They did not walk any hitters in game 3. And when you look at the starting pitching, we went through those numbers. But if you go to game 1, LSU's pitchers combined for 1 walk. Excuse me, Cade Anderson had the 1 walk on Friday. I didn't think Anderson walked anybody. I thought Ianson had walked. I forgot that Cade Anderson walked someone. Forgive me. So Anderson walked 1. Ianson, I know, walked 1. And outside of Ianson, no, it was Benj. I'm sorry, it was Benj who walked 1. So Anderson walked 1. Forgive me. Wrong guy. Anderson walked 1. Benj walked 1. There were no walks on Sunday. So you're talking about 27 innings of baseball. And over 27 innings, you issue 2 walks. So, that's outstanding. The strikeout numbers are great. But more than anything, you're not giving away free passes, which was awesome to see. So those are my takeaways. Chase Shores in his debut was fantastic. Ashton Larson, a force to be reckoned with. Some of the maybe surprising lineup changes on Sunday that Jay went with. And then William Schmidt's debut, absolutely outstanding. He's a guy that's proven he could be a back of the bullpen guy for you. Might end up, even as they continue to extend him, be someone who establishes himself as a midweek starter before we move throughout this year. So one worth keeping an eye on. Okay, as I mentioned, we're doing the show live. Thank you for being with us live. If you're on YouTube Live, please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you're notified whenever we post a new video, and drop your comments. We're coming to your comments here in just a second. It is Locked on LSU, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you miss the opening tip-off or you want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I love using FanDuel's live betting feature, especially during basketball season. Always keep an eye on opening lines. Wait for the game to tip off. Some early action could move the line in game. You could get even better value. Plus, the app is easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Okay, let's get to you. Thanks so much for being here with us. So please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let us know if you got comments. We appreciate it very much for you being here with us. Let's see. We'll start off with Bubba Tatum. Tigers gave up a first inning run. We're firing Jay Johnson now, just trying to stay ahead of the curve. I understand it. Listen, one of the things that we're going to have to keep an eye on, of course, is throughout the course of baseball season, you're going to lose games. It happens. You're going to lose games. You're going to lose midweek games. You're going to have ugly outings. So much of making it through the marathon of 56 is making sure you control what you can control and making sure you're at your best in conference play. Give some shout outs here to Keith and Lance Richard. Thanks for being there with us. Appreciate everybody for hanging out as we make it through. Curiosity asked, who would be your starting nine? Yeah, for me, if I had to go win a game today, I think you have 6 spots that are completely locked down. I think, of course, Jones at first, Dickinson at second, Braswell at third, Milam at short, Stanfield in center, Curiel in left. The question is, what do you do at right and catcher? I would play Jake Brown in right. I think he gives you the best glove in right field and certainly has shown that he is a 5-tool player and at his best can be really good. I mean, he was outstanding in the regional a year ago. The question is behind the dish, what do you do? And I haven't seen enough of the 3 guys to know. This weekend, I thought Kate Arambidi caught the best. Hernandez, the bat on Sunday, going 1 for 2 with 2 walks was really encouraging. If I had to win a game today, I'd probably go Hernandez because he's a veteran player. I'd probably go with the veteran over the freshman and Arambidi. But that's not to say that may not change throughout the course of this season. Sambo said Schmidt got a standing O. He deserved it. William Schmidt was awesome. Now you can understand, as I think about this, when we launched Locked on LSU, relaunched Locked on LSU in June, it was within the first month that we learned we were actually at SEC Media Days in July when we learned William Schmidt was foregoing the draft and coming to LSU. So if you're an everydayer, and thank you for that, you understand why at the time we were so excited. We're so excited about Schmidt. Curiosity also said too many outs on the base paths. Got to fix it before conference play. That was my big criticism from game 1, where you gave up 2 runs in situations where Curiel got caught stealing. Jake Brown tried to pick a bag at third and got caught stealing. On Sunday, Stanfield saw a ball in the dirt, broke for second, got thrown out. That was the review that thought was probably going to get overturned to go LSU's way. It didn't. Listen, I'm okay with being aggressive. I especially at the college level, these aren't big leaguers. So I tend to fall more in line with saying, make the outfielder make an accurate throw. Make the catcher pop, throw, and then second baseman catch, tag, all consistently, especially against a team like Purde Fort Wayne. So I'm not opposed to being aggressive. What I don't want to be is careless. And some of those situational moments, like you could have walked off game 2 at the plate, but a little careless breaking for home. So yes, it didn't go LSU's way, but also the other thing I would tell you is, man, how about a major hat tip to the catcher from Purde Fort Wayne? He was outstanding all weekend, and I would tell you flatly, Hall was their Sawa was their catcher. I would take him today. Now, no disrespect to the guys LSU has, but just defensively, he was outstanding this weekend. 337 Jen. Anyone know why the umps are doing a weird and thorough check of pitchers when they come out of the pen? Yeah, so that's a good question. If you're watching the games, you'll notice this. When pitchers come into the game, umpires are doing a check. This is something that's being done between innings in Major League Baseball that they've also now instituted in college baseball, where they're checking for any illegal substance. So pitchers have to take off their hat to make sure that there's no substance on the bill of the hat or behind their ears. They're checking gloves, hands. Candidly, I've seen less invasive checks from officials before UFC fights than what we're seeing here, but that's what they're doing in those situations. Okay, thank you so much for getting all your questions in. We appreciate it greatly. Tyson said, I'm an everyday watcher. Love the show. Thank you so much for being there. See if there are any more we can get into. Let's see. And yeah, it said they're checking after the inning too. So yes, when they come into the game and then after innings, between innings is what they're doing. So that's what they're doing in Major League Baseball. They're instituting it in college baseball as well. So, hey, Brennan Huff, Merrick Mathern, we appreciate y'all for being here with us. Aspen, Mac, we appreciate y'all for hanging out. So please smash the like button if you would. Subscribe to the channel. Facebook, like the page, share the post. One more. Let me see if I can get Rick's question in. So we have the defense, need to keep the bats hot. Something else worth considering is this was a weekend that wasn't very conducive for hitting. It was cold. The wind was blowing in. Ashton Larson's homer that he hit right into the teeth of the wind and still got it out. Daniel Dickinson, the homer he hit in game 2 was actually a jam shot. I mean, the pitch came in on him and he muscled it out to left, which was awesome to see. So, the fact that you were as offensive as you were without relying on the long ball, you did not homer in game 1, you hit 3 in game 2, and then just the Larson homer in game 3. The fact that you had that type of offensive weekend without relying on the home run, I thought was also very encouraging. Let's see. Thomas Spencer said, Matt, thanks for the post-game shows. You got it, Thomas. Thanks for being there. And last one, Merrick, then we have to go. Merrick said, your thoughts on the new bullpens. I love it. This is a story that I think some people may know, but when they designed the box, they put together the design for the back in 2009, and they forgot the bullpen. So for 15 years, as it looked like the bullpens were haphazardly added in a small space down both baselines, they forgot the bullpens. And so they were added late, which is why they were just down in foul territory on the first and third base line. I love what they did, putting the home bullpen under the bleachers. I would love to see them do the same thing down the left field line as well. But sans that option, building the wall the way that they did with the netting, so at least there's a separation, was much needed and long overdue. I like the premium seating as well down both baselines. I think the upgrades that they did are pretty fantastic. Okay, let's wrap this thing up. Thank y'all so much for being there with us. Hey, if you like these live shows, let me know. Okay, drop your comments and give me some feedback here, because if you want me to go live after every LSU baseball game, I'm happy to do it. I mean, I'm going to give you a recap show no matter what. It's just, do you want it live or do you want it on demand? So we're going to keep it inside of 30 minutes. That's our Locked On rules. So y'all let me know. I'm doing the show for you. So you let me know what you want. I appreciate y'all for being there. Okay, that's going to do it for us here on today's episode of Locked On LSU. If you are listening on podcast, thank you so much. Please subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Rate us, leave a review. YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you're notified whenever we post a new video, and let a friend know if they love the Tigers. We got you here every single day, and sometimes multiple times a day, for Locked On LSU, your team every day.